Now, what if I told you that to get faster, you actually need to ease off in a majority of your training? Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that is exactly what the 80-20 training method is all about, and it's actually gaining a lot of popularity of late, also known as polarized training. And simply, the idea is that you do 80% of your training at a low intensity and 20% at a moderate to high intensity. So, what is it all about? Why do it? And does it even work? Now, first off, this 80-20 training method, or polarized training, isn't actually anything new. Elite athletes have been using this kind of training method for years, whether they knew it or not. But collective research of recent years has sort of highlighted this, and now suddenly, obviously, everyone wants a piece of it. And it was actually Dr. Stephen Styler of the University of Agder in Norway that really brought this to light in the early 2000s. And for simplicity, there are sort of two levels to this 80-20 method. We've got low intensity on one side, and then we've got moderate or medium to high intensity on the other side. And Styler isolated a cutoff between these two levels as what he calls the ventilatory threshold. It sits somewhere between 77 to 79% of your maximum heart rate for someone that engages in regular exercise or activity. And for those out there that use zones for this low intensity, we're looking at somewhere around a zone 1 and 2, and for this moderate to high intensity, we're looking at zone 3, 4 and above. Now, while science didn't create this 80-20 rule, science has proven that this intensity balance is almost universally followed by top-level swimmers, cyclists, runners, triathletes, cross-country skiers, rowers, all around the globe. But you're likely watching this thinking, but I'm not a top-level elite athlete, and I certainly don't do the amount of hours or volume per week that a top elite level athlete does. So does this even apply to me? And as a result, naturally, you are probably more inclined to do more intensity per week to make up for that slightly less training per week that a top elite level athlete might do. But I've got news for you, because actually their research has also shown that this 80-20 rule works whether you're doing a handful of hours per week or 25 hours plus per week that a top level athlete might do. So how does it work? How might you go about adopting this into your training plan? And crucially, how does it work across the 3 sports within triathlon? So a common misconception, particularly with beginners, is that all training is more or less the same. Just high intensity training is the more efficient and quicker route to the same result. As I'm sure many of you know, that really just is not the case. Whether it's low intensity, moderate or high intensity, they all have their own benefits in different ways. Now, low intensity training can really help to improve our aerobic capacity. So how well we can extract oxygen from the atmosphere all the way through to powering our muscle contractions. There's also other physiological benefits, such as increasing red blood cell count, how well we can burn fat as fuel. Also the fact that because we're going at a low intensity, we can actually go further and longer in some of our sessions. And as I mentioned before, this is all around our zone 1 and zone 2, and that brings us up to our ventilatory threshold. Above this, we move into our moderate to high intensity training around zone 3, 4 and above, and these really help to improve our VO2 max, our power, our speed, and really start to target some of those race pace intensities. But obviously these are quite taxing and put quite a lot of stress on the body, and that is where the 80-20 rule comes in and really starts to help us target some of those moderate to high intensity sessions so that we can arrive feeling recovered, prepared and get more quality from them. Well, hopefully that has you persuaded. So now let's look at how you might implement this into your own training. And first off, don't worry about going and grabbing a calculator and precisely dividing it into this 80-20 ratio. Styler does say it's just an approximate guide. It's not a strict rule. And after all, it was taken from averages anyway. So we can live with it being 85-15 or 75-15 ratio if you like. He does say though, just try not to stray too far from that. So as triathletes, what we want to do is take a look at our training schedule and the aggregate of our training across all 3 disciplines and approximately divide that into the 80-20 split. by time, not distance. And it's also worth pointing out that your recoveries within a moderate to high intensity session should still be included within that 20%, because simply your heart rate is still quite high and that is still stress on your body. But as we all know, we can meticulously plan this all out, but it really comes down to our execution. And that's quite often where we fall short. Now, how many of you have planned a nice easy ride with your mates, for example, and it really hasn't ended up a nice easy ride? Or perhaps you've been quite impressed by your average pace after a run, and that run was meant to be nice and slow and easy. Yeah, you're definitely not alone. In fact, many age group athletes unconsciously swim, bike and run at paces slightly above our ventilatory threshold, meaning you're in that medium to high intensity rather than the low intensity. So if you really do want to adopt this method and do it properly, you've really got to start being quite strict in your intensities in sessions. You can start monitoring things better, so start using a heart rate monitor, start monitoring your pace, and start even checking your perceived exertion after sessions to make sure that you're really on it. Now, for some people out there who are regularly going at paces that are too high, this might feel really quite challenging. In fact, you might question whether this works at all and you might think it's absolute madness, but try and stick with it and let those hard sessions do the talking. Now, one final point is with this 80-20 method is it is really geared towards improving your peak fitness and really gearing up to the race season. It's not really meant or intended for all year round. So when it comes to the off season or months out from the race season, you probably want to back that 20% down a bit and just focus on building your fitness up gradually. Well, I hope that has been insightful today. There's a lot of information. If you have any more questions, please drop them in the comment section below. It's a method that I've used in my own training over the years, so I'd be very happy to help with any of those questions. If you have enjoyed today's video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more from GTM, make sure that you're following us on social media and subscribed just down below.